Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the PATA webinar, A Deeper Understanding of American Travelers. This is Pavnesh Kumar, your host for the session. Let's go through some key pointers. You may already be familiar with the Zoom features for webinars. Kindly use the chat function to introduce yourself to fellow attendees and utilize the Q&A function to ask questions to the presenters. Starting with the webinar, I would like to introduce the CEO of Pacific Asia Travel Association to present the welcome remarks. Please welcome Mr. Noor Ahmed Hamid.
Thank you, Pavnesh. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. So that will be my first statement. Good afternoon from Bangkok. It's a real pleasure to welcome all of you to today's session in the PATA webinar series. Thank you for being here, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and a warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers. Simon Moriarty from MMGY Global, who is based in London, Taichiro Ishida from SURUGA Marketing and Tourism Bureau from the Shizuoka Prefecture, that is in central Japan, Ms. Soleil Tropicales-Abdelmaksoud from the Philippine Department of Tourism, and she is based in San Francisco. We are especially grateful to MMGY Global, one of PATA's preferred partners, for sharing insights from their renowned Portrait of American Travelers report today. We are equally excited to hear from our colleagues in Japan, also Philippines, who will be sharing how their destinations are connecting with American travelers, something we can all learn from. Now let's talk about why today's topic is so important, a deeper understanding of American travelers, what's driving their decision making, especially today. This conversation couldn't come at a better time. But to really understand where we are going, we need to take a quick look at where we have started. For those who are unaware, PATA was founded back in 1951, right in the United States of America, under the US federal law as a not-for-profit travel association. At that time, the world was still recovering from the World War II, and there was a strong desire to reconnect. PATA's mission was to encourage Americans to explore, starting with the stunning Pacific Islands and the vibrant cultures of Asia. And that's how we got our name, the Pacific Area Travel Association, and later changed to the Pacific Asia Travel Association. Fast forward to today, the story has evolved. The Asia Pacific region is no longer just a destination. It's becoming a major source of the outbound travel market as well. That's part of why we moved our headquarters from San Francisco to Bangkok 25 years ago, because simply put, Asia is where the action is. Even with all the uncertainty in today's world, one thing hasn't changed. The American market remains incredibly, or as the American would say, awesomely important to our region. And to engage in that market effectively, we need to truly understand what's motivating their decision, what they are looking for, and how their behaviors are changing. And that is why I'm especially looking forward to Simon's presentation. This much is you. He's going to share practical data-driven insights, and I know will be very useful for all of us to shape our marketing strategies. And I encourage you, don't just listen. Ask questions, start a conversation. And after all, MMGY Global is a powerhouse in travel, tourism, and hospitality marketing. They represent multiple leading agency brands, and their mission is simple yet powerful, which is to inspire people to go places. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Ishida-san and Soleil, who will be offering valuable perspective from the destination side. This is important. It's always helpful to see how theory meets practice in the real world setting. Before we dive in, just a quick update. Even as we return to the in-person events like the PATA Annual Summit, which recently concluded in Istanbul last month, or the upcoming PATA Travel Mart this August, which will be held in Bangkok, we remain committed to continuing the PATA webinar series. These sessions will give us space to dig deeper, learn from experts, and connect with our global community. No flights required. And there's more coming up in terms of PATA webinar series. On June 10, for example, we are teaming up with the Air Transport Action Group, ATAC, based in Switzerland, to talk about Asia-Pacific role in shaping global air travel. And then on June 13, we are partnering the Travel Unity based in New York for a powerful session on youth for a diverse, equitable, inclusive tomorrow. And June 26, it will be the PATA Mid-Year Forecast webinar that all of us are waiting for. Already on the calendar, July 8, we will have the Meaningful Tourism webinar with Professor Dr. Wolfgang George Alt from the Meaningful Tourism Center. If there are any other topics that you like us to cover, please let our team know. We are always open to ideas and your feedback. Once again, thank you to all speakers and to all of you for being here today. And let's keep working together to rebuild a tourism industry that's not just resilient, but also responsible, inspiring, and deeply meaningful here in Asia Pacific and around the world. Thank you. Back to you, Pavnesh.
Thank you, Noor, for the words of wisdom and deep insights. Now, let me introduce the speakers of today's webinar. First off, we have Simon Moriarty, Vice President, Syndicated Research, MMGY. Mr. Taichiro Ishida, Director of SURUGA Marketing and Tourism Bureau, and Ms. Soleil, Tropicales, Tourism Attaché for the West Region, US, Canada, and Latin America, Philippines Department of Tourism, San Francisco. Now, let's begin with the first presentation of the session. I would like to welcome Mr. Simon.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. And thank you for the kind words of introduction. So just to repeat some of the information. So my name is Simon Moriarty. I'm the VP of Research at MMGY Global. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with MMGY. We are an integrated marketing agency focusing on travel, tourism, and hospitality. And I'm absolutely delighted to be part of this session today and to present some of our findings from our recent research into American travelers. Obviously, the world is continually changing, and recent times we've seen a lot of impact across travel, tourism, and hospitality because of things happening in America and the impact on the wider world. And the research that we run on a regular basis at MMGY focuses on not just the American traveler themselves, but other markets across the world and how they will be impacted by the behaviors, the intentions, the motivations, the spending of American travelers. And we run research across multiple markets as well. So we really paint a picture and provide the context of what the travel industry looks like globally. And today's session is really looking at finding out a bit more, obviously not everything in a short space of time, but finding out the key things that drive decision-making for American travelers. What's driving all of those motivations when it comes to taking holidays, planning trips, deciding where they want to spend their money, how they want to spend their money, and how things are affecting those decision-making processes, the things that are outside of most people's control. But the good news is, as was mentioned at the beginning, the travel industry is resilient. The travel industry is always changing, always developing, and it's important for brands, organizations involved in travel and tourism to proactively think about how people, how travelers, how audience, motivations, profiles, intentions continue to change and shift. The good news is that people still want to take holidays, they still want to travel. And this presentation will talk about some of those decision-making processes in a little bit more detail. And we're seeing, as I said, a continually challenging world that we all live in, and American travelers are no exception. They're constantly being impacted and challenged by domestic and global influences, factors outside of their control that either directly or indirectly impact on their plans, economic, socioeconomic factors, global factors, domestic factors. And it's having an impact on their intentions and also the attitudes towards American travelers themselves. And understanding the domestic travel plans of Americans provides that context for the international outlook. So it gives a sense of what the priorities are for travelers, how those priorities have changed and will continue to change. And we're seeing positive growth across both domestic and global markets. We know, for example, that American travelers are planning to spend more money on trips and take more vacations in the coming year than any time since 2020. And also they're really keen to travel. They can't wait to travel. They're shortening the planning process. They want to explore the world, whether it's on their doorstep or further afield. So it's a positive picture on the whole. And we can see from their international travel intentions that interest in visiting both Europe and Asia has risen significantly since last year. So we asked American travelers, those who have an interest in visiting international destinations during the next 2 years, so a 24-month period from when we ran this survey earlier this year as part of our quarterly Portrait of American Travelers series of reports. So this data on the right-hand side is among those who are interested in at least one international destination. And you can see the difference year on year between the first quarter of 2024 and the first quarter of 2025. Interest in visiting Europe has grown from 52% to 57%, and you can see their interest in visiting Asia has grown by 5 percentage points from 20% to 25%. And we know that among those American travelers who want to or are planning to take a vacation over the next 6 months, 35% are planning to travel internationally. And this is the highest percentage since 2020. It's a 5% increase year on year, which is hugely important. The majority of those travelers, 85%, are planning to leave the country within the next 2 years. That's a 4% increase since last year. And as I said, Europe and Asia have both risen significantly in popularity compared to this time last year. So it's, again, a positive picture for multiple destinations, but for Asia specifically, a big percentage point rise since this time last year. And we also see generational differences. All of our research, we're able to pinpoint the differences across demographics and really drill down into those key differences to help our clients understand who the audiences are and how they can appeal to them, how they can target them, how they can work with MMGY on marketing campaigns, for example. And we see generational differences that Asia is more appealing to younger Americans. So compared to other destinations that people are interested in visiting over the next 2 years, Asia shows a clear, consistent decline in appeal as travelers age. You can see that 33% of Gen Z, 30% of millennials are interested in visiting Asia. But you can compare that to the older generations, 22% of Gen X, so fewer than a quarter, and then just 18% of boomers. And you can also see, obviously, one of the key things that we get asked about all the time and which we're constantly reviewing and investigating is the impact of artificial intelligence, of AI. And lots of developments, obviously, in that space, and lots of pros and cons, I think. But there's some positives to start thinking about from AI in terms of how it's being used for travel planning. And again, we ask these questions of American leisure travelers and other travelers from other markets. So those who have used AI for travel planning, the majority are using it to suggest activities of interest. So they're using AI to help them think about things that maybe they haven't thought about. To generate travel ideas and inspiration is 40%. And then 40% use it to plan a trip itinerary. So cutting out some of the, I guess, the less fun elements of travel, the more kind of admin-based elements of travel, using AI to run types of research into flight options or to suggest different types of accommodation, suggest destinations of interest. So what we're seeing is that AI is being used to support the travel planning process. It's not taking over travel planning. It's not replacing other ways in which people are planning, but it's supplementing how people are planning their travel. And what we're seeing importantly is a generational shift where for the younger people, social media, AI are essential. They're looking to influencers, they're looking at AI tools like ChatGPT for inspiration. Older generations are more likely to trust traditional sources like travel agents, whether they're online or offline, looking at things like review websites, those things that offer a personalized service, trustworthy advice. They have a reputation that people in the older cohort tend to trust. And 34% of travelers have used ChatGPT or something similar to plan travel. And you can see a big shift in terms of younger generations. That moves up to 49% of millennials and 60% of Gen Z. And in terms of Asia, we're seeing on the whole, interest in specific countries across the region has seen a shift downwards, aside from Singapore, which has increased slightly between 2023 and 2024, which is the last time we ran this region-specific comparison. But interest in visiting Asia among those who are interested in visiting at least one international destination over the next 2 years has grown from 20% to 25%, as I said in the previous slide. So there is still intent. It's when that trip happens. Obviously, from an American point of view, it's a long way to travel, and it maybe involves a bit more planning, a bit more research, obviously thinking about things like who you're traveling with, at what time of year you're traveling, how much time off from work you have, for example. So you can see here that the difference is year on year between 23 and 24 across all of these different countries of importance. Importantly, you can also see the primary areas of interest that we asked about. Culinary experiences. 69% of travelers who are interested in taking a vacation in the next 2 years internationally are motivated to experience food that is eaten by locals. So huge opportunity to really focus on the culinary scene and the authenticity that provides, and that genuine connection that food provides that other elements of travel don't necessarily do, or that do in a different way. Importantly, 91%, a huge number, are motivated to travel because they want to experience different cultures. They want to explore the world. They want to immerse themselves in everything that destinations have to offer. And we know from this same research that 78% want to take part in and experience indigenous culture. They want to insert themselves or be among the things that local people are celebrating and enjoying and taking part in. And shopping, of course, is still an important part. Just under half of travelers are interested in shopping at local boutiques. So taking advantage of being in a different country, a different city, and seeing what's on offer from a retail point of view is obviously a hugely important factor when it comes to the tourism economy. And you can see here, again, compared between the 2 years that we ran this research most recently, some shifts. The majority of areas and activities of interest have grown slightly. So things like enjoying scenery has grown to 72%, historic sites 66%, experiences that people can proactively plan and discover themselves at 55%, and the same number having that more kind of passive pre-planned interaction with the local environment with walking tours. Historic sites has grown as well, and then restaurant and food experiences has declined slightly, but that's potentially because people want to explore the culinary scene in a slightly different way. So not necessarily going to restaurants, but wanting to visit things like local markets. Street food is a hugely important area that American travelers are interested in. And in terms of the current American traveler, we recently ran a survey in April of this year. We surveyed 1,000 US adults between April the 3rd and April the 5th. And that was because of the fallout and the impact of the announcements about tariffs and the reaction to that from the travel industry and people's concerns about the impact that would have on travel, both inbound to America and outbound from America, and how people perceive Americans as well was a hugely important point. Positively, the appetite for travel remains pretty much undiminished rather. It's important that just under 30% of American travelers will switch. They say they will switch from an international vacation to a domestic one. So there are changes that people are making because they're concerned about the financial impact under the new administration in America and the potential risk of things like a recession. There's obviously an opportunity there as well. It's not hugely bad news. International markets can really highlight what they can offer to understand all of the uncertainties that are driving this shift from an American traveler point of view. And in the next 6 to 12 months, 80% of US consumers do think their travel behavior will change. And you can see below some of the things that will be impacted. 33% will travel closer to home. That does still include some international travel for those that live in the northern parts and the southern parts of America, potentially for travel to the likes of Canada and Latin American destinations. Just as I said, under 30%, 29% will change from international to domestic. Just under a quarter will change to a less expensive mode of transport, so taking up things like road trips. And 22% will change the length of their stay. 83% of US consumers still intend to travel over the next 12 months. That's the key point. There is still appetite for travel from a leisure point of view, despite the recent executive orders, the financial news, the potential risk, and the things that people are concerned about. And that 83% is down just 4 percentage points from the Portrait of American Traveller data that we fielded 2 months before, so in February 2025. So it's not a huge drop off. 74% importantly, of US consumers are somewhat to extremely confident in their own household's financial situation over the next 6 months. And that's contributing to the fact that 70% of US consumers still intend to travel over that 6-month period. So people are not necessarily delaying their travel plans for a long time. They are still feeling relatively comfortable. They still want to spend some of their discretionary income on travel. But what's happening is that people are thinking about where to go in the short term and whether that will fit into the concerns they have more widely about socioeconomic and geopolitical factors. So looking ahead, it's obviously a hugely challenging time for a lot of markets. There's a lot of things continually happening and continually changing. But Asian destinations in particular are in a strong position to appeal to travelers from America because they're drawn to the unique experiences that are on offer. They have that desire to try new things. They want to experience the local cultures. They want to immerse themselves in authentic cuisines, authentic activities. They want to have a genuine experience when they travel. And over half of US consumers, 53%, believe that American travelers will be less welcome in other countries. That's an important point to think about because more and more American consumers are conscious of the external view based on things like tariff policy decisions and the new administration. And there's an opportunity there. So by celebrating and highlighting the welcome nature of destinations, Asia can really set itself apart, bolstered by all of those different local authentic offerings that are available, framing those offerings in the context of being welcoming, being friendly, being inclusive. And for American travelers, that's a real incentive to visit, that sense of open arms. For those people that still crave adventure, still want to tick different destinations off their bucket list, they are still carefully planning and prioritizing their trips, not just in terms of budget, but what they experience and thinking about how every element of the booking process and the travel experience makes them feel. So by helping people cut through all of that uncertainty, destinations, it's not just about providing a holiday. It can tap into that greater emotional need that we're seeing from an American traveler point of view, one which can enhance long-term positive associations with destinations across the Asian region. So positive, there are some challenges ahead, but broadly positive and lots of exciting opportunities. So thank you very much for your time and I hope the presentation was worthwhile and interesting, and I'm looking forward to answering some questions later on. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon, for the wonderful presentation. It's super insightful, and I hope that we will have loads of questions from the participants. Now, to continue with the presentation, please welcome Mr. Taichiro Ishida.
My name is Taichiro Ishida. I'm working in the tourism industry about 20 years. Now I'm working 10 years in regional DMO, that is SURUGA, Tourism Marketing and Tourism Bureau. And today's agenda is these 3 key points. Just now, Simon talking about the whole American market. Even I will talk a little bit more about Japan's situation and SURUGA. That means regional situations. In addition, I'd like to talk about trends in the American travel market from a regional perspective and example of the positive impact on regional areas based on case studies of initiative in the American market. So this is the overview of where SURUGA is located. SURUGA is the central region of Shizuoka Prefecture in between Tokyo and Kyoto, Osaka. It's just 1 hour from Tokyo by bullet train, Shinkansen, and 1.5 hours Kyoto or Osaka. So if you are familiar about the Golden Route or the Classic Japan route, SURUGA is located on it. In other words, it's located on the travel route taken by most first-timers to Japan. And before a pandemic, they would just pass through it. This is the just a little bit insight of the visitors number from the US. The red line shows the number of visitors from the United States to Japan. And green line is a number of visitors to SURUGA. For example, the red lines, by spring 2023, it will quickly exceed the 2019 level. And it's now approaching 1.5 times the 2019 levels. The green line is the SURUGA region. After the pandemic in 2023, just after Japan opened the border, the number matched the all-time high record in October 2019 and reached a new all-time high in spring 2024. When the two graphs are overlaid, the results are almost the same, although the scales are different. And the other data, the growth rate in rural area is higher than that in the three major urban areas. The international tourist waves is spreading not only to the three major urban areas, but also the rural areas. This is the growth rate of the number of visitors in 2024 compared to 2019. The red number indicate from the top to the USA, 58% is the Japan's growth rate. And also the green one is the SURUGA's growth rate. It's actually 186%, which is higher than the figure for Japan as a whole. In other words, the number of visitors from the United States to rural areas increasing. So this is the map. Check again. SURUGA is in between Tokyo and Kyoto, Osaka. Therefore, during the pandemic, Visit SURUGA has been developing a strategy for international market and marketing preparations. Rather than just promoting tourist facilities, we looked again at the regional characteristic, culture, and lifestyle of the region. And we picked three themes. This is the areas of tea diversity and Japan's deepest SURUGA Bay with livelihood and SURUGA's traditional arts and crafts. So in particular, we focused on the tea, the region's main industry. And under the tagline, region with the tea diversity, we refined the experience that would allow visitors to experience everything from the diverse tea farms to the full experience. One thing we have been working on since the early stage is setting up the terrace in the tea field. What we noticed was the tea, like wine, is incredibly diverse depending on the tea region and producer. The most effective way to experience the diversity is to visit the regions, to visit the tea farms. For the people of locals in SURUGA, tea fields or the tea farms are common. But for those who doesn't often drink tea, it's an extraordinary sight. Even for those who drink tea, they may not be able to imagine what the tea producing area is like. This project was started with the aim of taking advantage of the region's strengths, which are made up a wide variety of tea farms and allowing people to experience the different aromas and flavors of each tea farms. We also have developed the strategies that connect with the traditional crafts and culture that have been passed down since the time of the Tokugawa shogun, who ended the Sengoku period and unified Japan, and 260 years peaceful period, all through the story of tea. For example, the upper left pictures, that is matcha calligraphy. Instead of black ink, instead of black ink, she used unused matcha powder that is produced during the matcha production processes. And upper right, this is the tea dye. Using the SURUGA wazome technique, a traditional craft of SURUGA. This is also made from unused tea leaves that were left over from the tea production process. They are acquired from the factory and used as dye. After dyeing, the tea leaves are tuned into compost and returned to the tea fields. We also are creating opportunity for the market that have never experienced tea to come into contact with tea. For example, the down left, this is the SURUGA afternoon tea that combines two or more types of the SURUGA's tea with sweets, allowing to the taste the diversity of tea unique to the SURUGA region and the delicious teas made using special blending techniques. One more example is chagori, down right. This is the chagori, is the shaved ice made with the SURUGA's tea. The project was launched the desire to make the charm of SURUGA, a tea-producing region, familiar to many people by turning into the shaved ice. We hope to create an opportunity for even people who are not interested in to drink tea. And just now the Simon data is showing about the culinary experience. This is yes, it's exactly about the part of the travel's one of the best thing is the cuisine that makes use a local ingredient. Therefore, for example, after the touring the tea field, Visit Suruga also proposed a menu of tea pairings with Suruga's seafood and ingredients. This is the you to enjoy a pairing of tea and food. Also, they such as the variety of the how to drink the tea. There are many types of the tea, including the sencha, hojicha, genmaicha, oolong tea, black tea, and for example, pan-fried tea. And each type or even same time can be different depending on how it's brewed. For example, we have the modern cuisine, modern Japanese cuisine, teppanyaki, or the sushi pairing, also the tea cocktail experience. So you can visit the tea farms as if you are touring the winery, enjoy conversation with the farmers, and then have a meal paired with the tea by food and beverage professionals. So discover even more ways to enjoy tea and the delicious of food. Americans consider sustainable tourism to be something that property understanding that respects the history, tradition, and culture rooted in the region. And this includes experiences like the ones mentioned above. So this can be said to contribute to the sustainability of rural Japan. And for examples of the initiatives in the American market, as we are considering the tea as a core part of our strategy, we recognize about an American curated tea shop that was a business partner of our tea farmers. We learned that this tea shop purchased tea directly from small family-run tea farms in the Suruga region and explained the background of the tea, such as the family and production areas, to its customers, and also teaches them how to brew the tea. So I asked the shop owner it would be possible to sell tours to visit the areas where the products are produced to their customers. And the owner, of course, agreed it. However, on the other hand, although they are tea experts and can sell the tea, but also this is amateur to sell the travels tours. So therefore, Visit Suruga selected the travel agency in the United States and connect it with the Suruga local DMC to realize the tour planning. The tour visits the tea farmers and also include an opportunity to experience making traditional crafts in the Suruga region and the dinner pairing tea with the bounty of Suruga Bay. The tour stayed in Suruga region, which had previously been passed over before the pandemic for 5 nights and made an emotional contribution to the local economy. In addition, we took tea farmers and artists to US tea shop, providing as an opportunity for them to interact with tea shop customer and tour participants. This increased engagement not only between the shops and their customers, but also between tea farmers in Suruga. While this tour was aimed at a niche market, the US-based travel agency planned to expand its market by creating customized tour for the general public. Since the pandemic, there has been an increased demand for outdoor activities, camping or outdoor activities. They avoid crowds. Furthermore, there is a tendency to place importance on both physical and mental health, and combined with an outdoor orientation, relaxation, and well-being have become keywords. In Japan, generally, the sustainable has strong images of environmental consideration or the CO2 reduction. But Americans consider more more about the understanding of the history or traditions or cultures in the region. So we will believe that the increased tea consumption as a result of Americans and other travelers visiting the SURUGA region will help sustain the tea industry in SURUGA, which will in turn help preserve the image of the SURUGA region. That's the scenery with tea field like this. Thank you for attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Taichiro, for the wonderful presentation. And now it's time for the next presentation, for which I would like to invite, please welcome Ms. Soleil Tropicales.
Good day, everyone. I am Soleil Tropicales, the tropical sun, and I am the tourism attaché of the Philippine Department of Tourism in San Francisco. Thank you so much for having me today. I will just share my screen. Okay, so as mentioned, I am based in San Francisco, and our jurisdiction includes North California, US Pacific Northwest, Midwest, and West Canada. We also have offices located in New York and Los Angeles. Today, I will share insights on how we are reaching the resilient US traveler and some strategies to capture this evolving market. Here is what we will cover today. We will start with a quick overview, then dive into US outbound travel trends, explore Asia Pacific's rising appeal, assess the impact of US tariffs, and wrap up with some strategies to attract the US travelers to Asia Pacific region. As you can see here, the US continues to be the second largest source market for the Philippines and also a significant source market for the Asia Pacific tourism. As of January to April 2025, the Philippines welcomed 403,000 tourists from the US, a strong 101.85% recovery compared to 2019 levels, and 8.74% growth from 2024. This accounts for 19.16% of total tourist arrivals during the period. And to share more about the arrivals to the region, among ASEAN destinations, the Philippines ranks first in US arrivals, showing a 97% recovery rate in 2023 and continued growth in 2024. This indicates strong interest and loyalty from American travelers to our country. Despite economic uncertainties, Americans are traveling more. In 2024, they made nearly 100 million international trips, underscoring their adaptability and appetite for overseas travel. However, new tariffs may influence future patterns. Now we go to the US outbound travel landscape and travel characteristics. We are delighted to share that US outbound travel is surging. In fact, in 2020, April 2025, we saw a 6.2% increase in air passenger departures year over year, and projections for the full year suggest a 9% rise in international trips. US travelers are also spending big. 2022 billion in March alone, and this positions the US as a top spending outbound market with significant potential for destinations like the Philippines and Asia Pacific countries. On demographics and behavior, US outbound travelers have an average household income of 154,000 US dollars. They are experienced, globally curious, and increasingly drawn to meaningful travel, especially in Asia Pacific. So this is a good opportunity for us to highlight our country's authentic cultural experiences, sustainable tourism, and value for money destinations. Next, let's look at the impact of US tariffs on Asia Pacific tourism. In April 2025, a 10% base tariff was applied to most imports from Asia Pacific countries. Unfortunately, higher tariffs were paused for now, opening a brief negotiation window. So we will see the tariffs have caused inbound US tourism to drop from countries like Japan and Mexico. And as a result, more travelers are shifting their focus to intra-Pacific, Asia-Pacific destinations. So we can say that Asia-Pacific is a trending destination. In fact, in 2025's trending destinations, Tokyo and Osaka are topping the list. The region's rich culture, scenery, and experiences are fueling the surge in demand. After years of staying closer to home, Americans are now booking long-haul trips again. And Asia Pacific is seeing record growth in online searches and bookings, like platforms like Expedia, Skyscanner, and Kayak. And as mentioned earlier, more travelers are shifting their focus to Asia Pacific destinations. Experiential travel is key. The modern US traveler values authenticity, cultural adventures, and sustainability. So, destinations like Vietnam, Indonesia, Bhutan, and of course the Philippines are resonating with these preferences. We are also seeing that travel recovery is backed by air access since air connectivity from North America is improving. New and expanded flights from United Airlines, Delta Airlines, ANA, and Philippine Airlines are making it easier than ever to visit the region, including direct flights from our area, San Francisco, to Manila. To capture this market, some of the strategies that we can do as an NTO are enhancing connectivity, launching targeted campaigns, forging regional partnerships, and offering travel packages tailored to American preferences. Here in the West Coast, both our San Francisco and Los Angeles offices have collaborated with other Asian countries for travel trade and B2B activations. We have worked with Singapore, Korea, Taiwan, and Thailand. Some of the region's competitive advantages include diverse product offerings, so from mega cities and UNESCO heritage sites to pristine islands and remote wellness retreats. We also offer value for money, wherein US travelers benefit from favorable exchange rates and high quality services at affordable prices compared to Europe. And of course, we have the diaspora tourism. Countries like the Philippines and India see strong growth in roots or heritage travel from second and third generation immigrants based in the United States. To further accelerate market growth, we are aligning our efforts with the launch and expansion of key flight routes from both the US and Canada. So, as you may know, Air Canada is now flying direct from Vancouver to Manila 3 times a week, which started last April 2025, which is perfect for tapping into the Canadian market. Additionally, will launch in June with flights from LA, Ontario to Taipei, connecting daily to Clark and Cebu, which are also international, which also have international airports in the Philippines. So they are also working on flying to Manila directly from LAX and Pacifico by early 2026. Another Taiwanese carrier, Eva Air, will start a Dallas Taipei route this October with connections to Manila, Cebu, and Clark, which is great for southern US region. And of course, United Airlines is also adding another daily flight from San Francisco to Manila this October. So it means more seats, more travelers. We are also making use of the code share flights. So we have Philippine Airlines with Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian Airline. And we also have Korean Airline with Delta Airlines to expand reach across both countries. With all these routes opening up, we're creating targeted tour programs to capture interest and drive bookings from these gateways. There you go. So those are some strategies on how we can tap and bring the resilient US travelers to Asia Pacific. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer it. This is my email address, soleil@philippinetourismsf.org. And for more information, you can scan the QR code for the Philippine Department of Tourism USA website and social media accounts. Maraming salamat at mabuhay.
Thank you, Soleil, for the wonderful presentation. And now it's time for the panel discussion. To moderate this session, I would like to invite Fernanda Hodag, Manager, Sustainability and Social Responsibility. Over to you, Fernanda.
Thank you, Pavnesh, and hello to everyone joining us today. We've just heard some insightful presentations that provide us a clear understanding of how American travelers are making decisions this year and what it means for destinations in Asia. So now I'm delighted to moderate this panel discussion where we take a deeper dive into some of the trends, opportunities, and challenges that were just presented. So joining us live are Simon and Taichiro-san. And Soleil, unfortunately, is not with us live, but you can raise your questions and follow up with her by email following this webinar. So let's begin this conversation since we don't have a lot of time. Simon, let me start with you. At the end of your presentation, you brought up an important result from your most recent April survey following the new tariffs, which is causing a lot of concerns to destinations. So can you just further explain to us the paradox of your data? So Americans remain eager to travel and to spend, but they're also showing some caution with 30% of travelers aiming to shift from international to domestic travel. How do you reconcile this enthusiasm with the rising signs of economic restraint in America?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question, and it's something that doesn't have a simple answer. I think there's a number of different factors at play. And importantly, it's not that American travelers are thinking that they will stop traveling. It's more that their intention to travel internationally has maybe moved from shorter term to a more medium or longer term plan. So they still want to travel. The benefit for Americans is that they have a vast domestic destination that they can travel around. You know, they can experience a lot that, like someone like myself living in the UK, there is no equivalent. It would take, you know, a day to travel from one end of England to the other, whereas in America it can take several weeks to travel across the whole country. So domestically they have options to really take advantage from and go and take advantage of all the things they want from their travel, whether it's natural environment, whether it's adventure holidays, whether it's a road trip, whether it's culinary, etc., city breaks. So there's an incentive for them to travel domestically because it fits in to the sense of uncertainty. People want to be closer to home in times of uncertainty. It also fits into the cost issue. People planning their budgets more carefully. Domestic travel is often more cost effective than international travel for obvious reasons. But international travel is still appealing. People will still want to visit destinations around the world. It's more that they are thinking longer term, that they will wait for the uncertainty to recede, and then they will take those international trips. But it also gives them more time to plan those trips. So there's more opportunity to research into destinations and to see all of the different things that are available to them and to plan their budget, and also to build up a travel fund. If they're going to travel internationally slightly further ahead in terms of time, they've got more time to build up their funds to really make the most of that trip. And also we've just seen today that a number of the tariffs that were being talked about from the administration in the US have been blocked by the International Trade Courts. So already since April, there's going to be more changes because a number of those tariffs won't happen. The US economy has bounced back already this morning and last night. So we could ask the same questions in that survey to the same people tomorrow, and the response will be very different because that economic uncertainty has suddenly been replaced by economic positivity. So what will happen is people will travel more domestically and then travel internationally, but there is still a positive outlook.
Thank you, Simon. And Taichiro-san, what about destinations such as Suruga? Japan, as we saw, is a main destination for Americans, especially young Americans, Gen Z and millennials. So how does Suruga deal with this uncertainty, and how do you address these concerns around affordability and that the US is facing right now?
Thank you, Fernanda. That's the good question. For example, rather than doing something special for the Generation Z and millennials, I think we should continue to enhance the appeal of the experience gap that can be had in Suruga that people want to experience in Japan. So, for example, the experiences that cannot be had in big cities like Tokyo or Kyoto, Osaka. And also when it comes to the affordability and accessibility, we can compete with other destinations that can provide these things. So we need to promote the experiences that can only what we have in Suruga region and not in other areas. Like this, we will still continue to how we are promoting our strong point to the market.
Sure, that's great. And on that note, Simon, your report shows that 91% of Americans are seeking cultural engagement when traveling. So do you think Suruga's tea and cultural activities are a good example of experiences that appeal to these travelers?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of the makeup of the destination. It's, you know, it's an authentic element of the specific destination. And that's what travelers are looking for. It's to go somewhere that has an experience that is unlike anywhere else. It still has elements of familiarity. You know, it's not a completely alien experience but it's for a lot of American travelers, all of the different varieties available and the different ways in which people consume, and importantly as well, the integration with the local economy, the local cultures, the local traditions, the people, the artisans, the experts within and from the destination, and kind of showcasing heritage, tradition, authenticity. These are all, you know, really powerful drivers for travelers, not just from the US, but it's definitely a good example of the kind of thing that people will experience. It may not be the reason they go there, the sole reason, but it's something that they will take advantage of, and something that they are likely to remember and then take those experiences back home, but also on other trips to other destinations, and start to build up, you know, their different experiences of tea culture or different food and drink cultures from around different markets, not just across Asia, but across the world. And it's something that it's a really powerful way to connect travelers with destinations through food and drink in particular, because it has such an emotional response. It's also quite a tangible thing. It's like you either like something or you don't like something, but people also enjoy the sense of learning and the educational side of things. And I think it's a really powerful way to engage with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I myself I'm not American, but I was also tempted by those green tea fields. It looked amazing. I wish I was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I have a question from the Q&A. What are the major drive or reasons? We were just blend my questions with the Q&A because we don't have a lot of time. So now Hiro Fukawa asks, what are the major drive or reasons that younger generations in the US are attracted to in Japan and Asia as a destination? So maybe for Simon.
Yeah, we've got specific data that we can break down. Obviously, I showed in the presentation that there's a decline in interest as people age from America. It's still a large number of older people are interested in Asia, a relatively large number. It just declines kind of consistently as generations age. I think the key thing is, or one of the key things would be that older people are perhaps more disincentivized to travel so far away because of the length of the trip. So a flight from central, like the middle of the United States, will take a long time to get to Asian destinations, and for older generations that might be something that puts them off slightly, particularly if they have health concerns or health issues that they're worried about sitting on a long haul flight for 18 hours or so. A general sense that younger people are slightly more adventurous in their outlook. They have less or fewer maybe responsibilities at home in terms of family or mortgage or a job that they are kind of that their career. It might just be that they're able to take more time off, or to pack everything that they own into a bag and travel to Asia for several months at a time. And Asia has a kind of a romantic appeal in the sense of it has a reputation for being somewhere that is full of adventure, full of opportunity to kind of explore multiple different cultures and to kind of immerse yourself fully in everything that Asia has to offer, and how different it is between different countries. And I think that potentially appeals to younger travelers more than older travelers who have got to the stage where they feel like they've had a lot of adventures, they've had a lot of experiences, and they can find other experiences that they enjoy closer to home.
Thank you, Simon. Pavnesh, do we have time for more questions?
I think we are out of time, but if you want to take one last Q&A session, a Q&A question from the audience, or if you have like one word question, you can go ahead.
Okay, so maybe the last one for Taichiro-san. Taichiro, you showed us that the number of US visitors to SURUGA has grown significantly. What are the lessons learned that you would like to share to other Asian destinations that are listening to us right now?
I'm sorry, the line is little bad. I cannot hear the questions actually. Say again.
I repeat. So you showed during your presentation that the number of US visitors to SURUGA has grown significantly. So what lessons learned can you share to other Asian destinations listening to us now?
Yes, actually the Asian is the close how to say is the not the long haul destination from the Asian countries. So that's why the more Asian countries, a visitor it's going to be a frequent traveler. So which means SURUGA is actually the good accessibility from the Tokyo to the Kyoto, Osaka. But like that, the Asian countries, the traveler is traveling to more far from the big cities area, like northern part of Japan or the southern part of Japan. So actually the United States or the other European country is more opportunity to come to the SURUGA, I think.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Taichiro, and thank you, Soleil, who's not here, for your thoughtful insights and perspectives. So today's discussion has taken us beyond just numbers and trends, but also the motivations and expectations and emotional nuances that are shaping the decisions of US travelers in 2025. So since we are short of time, I would just pass back to Pavnesh to give the final goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fernanda, for moderating this session, and to our wonderful panelists. A quick note to all the participants who are tuning in. All the presentation materials would be shared with you through the registered email address. So rest assured you will have the presentation materials for your review. Now, Let's continue. So we have the report, which is this session is based on the issues and trends. A deeper understanding of American travelers is now available on the PATA catalog. So you can scan the QR code to access the document, and PATA members can download their complimentary copy from the Info Hub. Further, I would like to invite you to join us for the PATA Travel Mart 2025 at QSNCC in Bangkok from August 26 to August 28. You may scan the code for more details and registration, or you can also visit our website www.pata.org. Later this year, we have the PATA Destination Marketing Forum taking place at Chiang Rai, Thailand from December 1 to 3. Again, you can scan the QR code on the screen for details or alternatively visit our website. And now, the most biggest announcement. Next year, PATA Annual Summit is coming to Korea. Please join us in Gyeongju and Pohang from May 11 to 13, 2026. So I hope we will be meeting you there. Last, if you have any questions or if you need more information about the webinar, about the report, or any of the events that were mentioned, feel free to reach out to me on pubnish@pata.org. If you are in Bangkok, please drop by our office at True Digital Park. Before we go, I would like to thank our panelists for their time and enthusiasm. Your insights have been super helpful. A vote of thanks to the PATA Executive Board, members, partners. Without your support, none of this would be possible. And last but not least, a heartfelt thanks to all the audience taking time out of their busy schedule to attend this webinar. Thank you all. Take care.